Hey everyone, welcome back to Warhammer Station. I am Colin, your illustrious host, back to talk to you more about cool Warhammer stuff. As you know, we're in the midst of 10th edition. Tyranid army rules have been dropped, Space Marines have been dropped. I'm going to, there's a lot to talk about these things. I'm not going to go to a line by line unit review. I want to talk about like the most notable models, the most notable rules, what some of the things you might see on the tabletop that are going to be the things you're going to have to react to the most. There's a lot to these. Tyranids there's 94 pages in this PDF. There is, 200 some odd pages in the Space Marine PDF that we're going to get to. So, I want to give you some of what's going on in here that you're going to see that's going to give you probably some of the most trouble out there. But Tyranids look really fun. It looks like there's going to be a lot to them. There's quite a lot of models in the range, and yeah, let's not belabor this anymore. Let's talk about it. So, two things are the army rules: Synapse and Shadow in the War. Synapse gives you basically 3d6 for your synapse for when you take a battle shock test instead of 2d6. This is a major advantage because most of the Tyranids are 7 or 8 leadership. I don't think they get better than that, but rolling 3d6 most of the time, it's going to not be bad. I think the average is 10 on a 3d6, so you're going to have an easy time, right? And then your Shadow in the Warp, once per game, you can force the opponent to do a battle shock test on everything. Remember what battle shock is, right? Reduces objective control to 0, can't be affected by stratagems, and if you fall back, you have to take a breakout test or something like that. Well, I forget what the exact wording is. The detachment rule, which is what's going to be for this Tyranid's invasion fleet, right? So this is like a doctrines or something real similar to that. At the start of your command phase, I think, at the first battle round, and until the end of the battle, this isn't that big a deal because there's a stratagem that can change this, right? Either infantry or swarm units can have sustained hits, and remember that is on a 6 or a critical roll, you get a bonus hit, right? Hyper aggression, that is against monster or vehicles, which I think is probably going to be the one used most, is lethal hits, and hive predators. When you target an enemy character, the attack gains precision ability. Yep. Let's see, in these stratagems, there's a lot going on here, pretty simple. But the most notable ones are, I think, this synaptic insight, where you can change your hyper adaptation. And then the other one is fight on death. I think that's the ones that are going to be used the most. These other ones are for like survivability and stuff. But this fight on death thing is like for your big Carnifexes or your big HQs. If you misplay or there's a hard counter to them, they're still going to get to swing and be really effective. It's going to be so not all your stuff's cannot. You still have to do this on a 4+ though. It's going to be, there's a luck component to it, right? But it's not that big a deal. Chances are, if you're even halfway lucky, you're going to get there, right? Again, like I said, not going to go over everything, but these are the enhancements. You can think of these like relics or some sort of warlord trait like they had in the past. And all of these are actually really good. Being able to swap your units around in deployment is going to be one of the top ones. If it were me and the way I play, which admittedly might not be the best, but this is going to really amp up this one here with the once per turn you can re-roll your 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, 1 damage roll. 1 advanced roll, 1 charge roll. So for something like your big bad HQ, it's going to be really well in destroying something out there, like, because this is basically saving you command point a turn for every phase almost. You know, if like your HQ can shoot, or your Carnifex that can do, or your, what is that, Tyrannofex with a big gun, you know, that's going to be really good. Let's see, what else do we need to talk about in here? All these HQs, you know, they have some of the same stuff that the Space Marine, that we've already seen a lot of Space Marine stuff. But like, all this stuff is really good. Like I said, Leadership 7, all of their big characters are Toughness 9. A lot of their units move really fast. So it's going to be, like, Tyranids are going to be in your face no matter what. The HQs hit really well. I think this paroxysm power is going to be kind of out there, because it'll dunk on a psyker, right? And then subtract 1 from the attack characteristic of weapons equipped by models in that unit. So as the Tyranids army moves up, you're going to have this guy out there just shutting down the opponent's offense and stuff like that. The Hive Tyrant on foot doesn't have the same thing. He has, see, this is still a really good one. So like, Tyranids units within 6 inches of this model's ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the assault ability. So that means all these big guns, if he's flanked by something with some big guns, it's going to be really powerful, because they can advance and still shoot those big guns. It sounds like to me. I don't know, I might have that wrong. The Swarm Lord looks really good. He's got a really good attack profile. He's got a good psychic attack that's going to really put a hurt on some stuff. He'll hurt stuff as he dies. He's going to be hard to kill no matter what, with that 2+ save and a 4+ invul. His synapse range is really wide. And I think another one that's really good is once per battle. So for that clutch command point deal, your enemies are going to have to pay 1 CP, right? Let's see what else here. Broodlord, he's not bad either. Hypnotic Gaze is going to be really good. Until the end of that phase, that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So if he's being the leader of Gene Stealers, right, and we'll get to Gene Stealers in a minute, they're going to do really well. So like, of all these HQs, I have a hard time thinking which one. I know which ones I don't want to come across the table with, and that's just paroxysm power, right? It's going to really dunk on some people. It really is. What else? There is a lot to this. You know, I don't see a lot of these other things just really lending a whole bunch of, like, you have to pick which powers you're going to take, which HQs you're going to take, and there's obviously ones head and shoulders above these others. It's Turvagon. If you got a bunch of Gaunts around, it's going to keep those Gaunts in play, but not much. I mean, just 6 of them. Those things are toughness 3. They die pretty easy. I remember when this model came out, there was some stuff going on with it. I just don't know if I know enough about these things. You know, for me, it would take a lot of horse trading to see if these are going to be any good. Yep. The Turvagon, Old One Eye looks amazing. Mainly because you can add him to, he's an epic hero, but you can add him to, Carnifexes. And as you'll see later, the Carnifexes can have 1 to 2 units with it. So adding another Carnifex in the mix is going to be good. But he's regenerating wounds, and you can re-roll the hit roll. So, and this isn't just close combat, it is shooting as well. Throwing a 5-up, feel no pain, 2+ armor save, toughness 9. He's going to be wrecking some face. And that Carnifex unit is going to be really tough, and put out some real offensive capabilities. And Carnifex is where it's at. We'll get to that here in just a minute. Tyranid Warriors, just your, I don't know if these guys are battle line or not. They should be, right? Forget where it says that. But just some troops, close combat, nothing really special about these guys. Termagants, yep. It's a mini, moving up towards you after you shoot them or something like that. These guys are all just cannon fodder. They're going to be bullet catchers, right? They're going to do some stuff if there's a lot, They can have 20 of them in a blow, but their weapons just aren't there, right? But these are your screens. These are your line troops. These are your objective holders. And they're good, but there's these ones, the Termagants are one thing, right? The Tyranid Warriors are one thing. But another thing, we don't know the price of any of this stuff, points-wise. And so, but I'll tell you what, Hormagaunts, if you're going to have all this cannon fodder and this low strength stuff, hits on 4s, flesh bore is strength 5 with 1 damage. That's good. You're wounding toughness 4 stuff on 3s. But now look at this. Hormagaunts, strength 3, AP -1. I need somebody to do the math on that stuff. I can't rarely do it, but I mean, there's so much stuff that's higher than strength 5 that I'd almost rather have the strength 3 and get that -1 AP. Edging in all this extra AP stuff is going to do some damage. If you got 20 of these guys coming across, I don't know, we need to run a simulation and see how well Hormagaunts are versus a strength 5 shooting attack. Well, it's 3 attacks, so I think that does it for me, right? If I'm making a Tyranids army, I'm buying a bunch of Hormagaunts, and I'm not going to mess with the shooting. I'm going to leave the shooting to other stuff. I think there's other stuff that can do shooting better. Leave these guys out. Gargoyles, unless you want some real fast-moving stuff, there is a place for that to get them moving around. Add to those objectives on the outside. Toxicrene, he looks really cool. I think it's going to depend on how many points it is, but he just kills units with mortal wounds. Yep. I don't know if we'll see him. Tyrant Guard, if you have your big HQs, this is going to be your extra wounds. If they had this crushing claws, strength 8 against vehicles, I don't know if this is going to be what's really, given the character your 5+ feel no pain ability is what you're going to take these for, right? And plus the extra 4 wounds apiece. They come in 3 to 6, so you can buy them and get these extra wounds. Now this one's really cool. I kind of think we might see this one because it really has a lot of bust to it. It moves kind of slow compared to this other stuff, but it's really tough. It's got a lot of wounds, and it's got some extra. You can take Neurogaunts that go around it, right? But these Neurotyrants, this is a big one. If one or more Neurotyrants from your army are on the battlefield, when you unleash the Shadow and the Warp, subtract 1 from the Battle Shock test. Each enemy unit on the battlefield must take as a result. So this is going to be one of those things where it's a really clutch thing to shut down your opponent on that Battle Shock test. That could mean winning the game or not. This is where the tactics and all that other stuff is going to come in. And getting these, like if you have a Lictor or something out there, a Death Leaper or whatnot out there, you can maybe reach him in some of this Synaptic Range or whatnot. And then what units can he join? Neurogaunts or Tyrant Guard? So, yeah, add 1 to the hit roll. This isn't going to be much, except, I mean, okay, Psychic Scream. It's not going to do much, I don't think. A Lictor, however you say it, it's not bad. This is a cool idea, but in my experience, there's not enough characters for you to really prioritize this model over something else to gain a CP and rapid ingress. You know, he does have strength 7, damage 2, so he might do something, but in my experience, it's not that much. You know, remember, you can overwatch in the movement phase. So this guy shows up and just instantly gets deleted, right? Because toughness 6 wounds, isn't that big a deal to overcome. I could be wrong. Now this guy, he has the same thing. He can't have the free one, but Fear of the Unseen. Now there might be some sort of silly combo out here. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this model, worsen the leadership characteristic of models in that unit by 1. In addition, in the battle shock step of your opponent's command phase, if such an enemy unit is below its starting strength, it must take a battle shock test. So with this and the Neuroceptor, or whatever it was, a Neuro Tyrant, I almost see some sort of combo being pulled off with this, Shadow in the Warp, Death Leaper, but he's, you know, unique, something like that. It seems like some fun combo, but it also seems like a stretch, right? Yeah, he's an epic hero, so only one of those guys. Maliceptor, I think this was the one in last edition that was doing a ton of damage with mortal wounds. And he does have a really strong attack, right? Let's see. Yeah, I don't know if it seems like a shadow of his former self just looking at it. He does have some strong hits and all, but unless I'm missing something, he's got to be in real close for it to be doing much, right? The Pyrovores, I just don't know about them. Harspecs, you know, seems to be like real and close to do much. He's really tough, right? But I mean, he's just a close combat guy. So close combat and short range. Venomthropes. Now this is where a really good thing is going to happen. So they're not synapse, right? But you're gonna have something. But there's a tactic that you can see here to form with this foul spores. While a friendly Tyranids unit is within 6 inches of this unit, each time a ranged attack that targets that unit, models that unit have the benefit of cover against that attack. In addition, while friendly Tyranids unit, excluding monsters, is within 6 inches of this unit, models that unit have the stealth ability. So they're getting -1 to hit, +1 armor save. These guys move 6 inches, so it might almost be a trap. So they're going to be moving up, and your other stuff's going to be moving in front of it, and providing cover for your offense here. But you know, how many points is this thing worth? What's it going to do? It still seems like a really powerful ability. I kind of hope it works out. And this is also going to be in combination with Zoanthropes, which we'll see in a minute. Not sure about these guys. Heroic Intervention, Close Combat. I mean, these are just guys who jump out and kill stuff. For me, I'd rather take Gene Stealers. Neurogaunts, all they do is with this Neurosights, they don't hit well at all, and they increase your synapse range. So like you'll have your main synapse creature with these guys, maybe you have Swarm Lord, you're 9, or you have the enhancement where it's 12 or something like that. And these guys are just providing another 6-inch bonus to this synapse range. How much to them? Zoanthropes, you're going to see a lot of these on the board, right? So not only do they have phenomenal shooting attacks with strength 12, -3, d6 +1, that are lethal hits, but then their blast isn't bad either. But here's where the real kicker is, right? Is 6+ invulnerable save in an aura. So that's going to save, you know what? I played with this a bunch. It's actually a big deal getting to take that. It's going to be something, you know, because these guys only have a 5+, but getting to save 6+ on a whole bunch of gaunts is going to be very powerful. And then if you have something with Fennel Pain to back that up. And then just And this unit contains a neurothrope. Suffers each time an enemy unit fails a battle shock test. So maybe you're in close, you trigger your shadow in the warp, and then you're just dunking on things, right? Pull off some sort of battle shock ultra combo. Now, Gene Stealers, they don't look that much, but look, Scouts, Vanguard Predator. Each time the model unit makes an attack, reroll a wound roll of a 1. If the target is in range of an objective marker, you can reroll the wound roll instead. 5 up, invulnerable save. Right? Gene Scissor Claws. 4 attack, hits on 2s, -2 AP. This -2 AP is where it's going to be at. Strength 4 with rerolling wounds is still really good. And then, what is it? We talked about their little HQ with them, right? That's going to really buff them up. Raveners, I don't see anything fantastic with these guys. They can go into reserve. Hey, great. Ripper Swarms, maybe they can hold an objective in the back somewhere. They don't seem that fancy to me at all. Parasite of Mortex, again, it does stuff with Ripper Swarms. I'm not sold on this guy. Kind of missing it. Moloch. This guy's real tough. He moves fast. He has an insane amount of attacks with one big one, right? Because look, anti-infantry, devastating wounds, extra attack. So he gets this one also, and he has deep strike when he shows up. So he's going to be always in reserve. When this guy shows up, you've got to really ungroup your stuff to watch out for this guy. Within 12 inches on a 2-4, that unit suffers D3 mortals. On a 5, that unit suffers 3 mortal wounds and must take a battle shock test. So I'd almost say this guy's going to be in every list. If you can take more than one, probably so. I don't know. There's a lot I want to take. If it were me, it'd be this guy, Neurothropes, Zoanthrope, and a bunch of close weapon gaunts. Trigon, again, a lot of attacks, bioelectric pulse, which isn't bad, and he shows up 3 inches away from stuff. So you got to deal with him before he comes over and deals with you, right? This is another really cool mucolid spores. They don't move very fast, but enemy units cannot start or end an advanced move within 6 inches. And if you end a move within 3 inches, on a 2-5, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortals. On a 6, that unit suffers D6 mortals. That's a lot. That's going to be swingy. That could really get after you some, right? And they go away. So there was something, and then spore mines are the same thing, but a little less. And I want to say there's one of these another model that shot these things out. Exocrine, I don't see what he does, a bunch of shots, but powerful limbs. So, it's like a tank or something that shoots. It is heavy, so maybe if you get that assault thing in there and this thing is moving up 8 inches and doesn't advance and is still able to shoot, that's not bad. Right? Biovores, this is the one that does the spore mines. And so, its spore mine launcher, it's not that good. There's not enough shots for that to be worth much. So maybe you can do some sort of area denial. It's 40-inch range, and putting out some spore mines over there might actually get something off an objective or do something, right? It seems like a stretch to me, though. Carnifexes are where it's at. These guys have a whole smattering of weapons and melee weapons. And to put it, to summarize this thing, if they're shot at, they can move towards the enemy unit and come within engagement range. They roll 1d6. So when you shoot at these things, because they're going to thump you, up to strength 12 on whatever close combat weapon they have, but they're going to do some damage, whatever they run into. So watch out for these guys. watch out for them, especially if they have old one eye attached to them, right? Screamer Killer, again, you're forcing a battle shock test on something. It's not that, it's whatever. Hive Guard, they're a shadow of their former self. You know, you can do an indirect fire, but these weapons used to be strength 8, right? They used to really do some damage or something, and you couldn't see them when they shot at you. I remember there being just whole tables full of these guys. So there's a lot of these guys going to stay on the shelf compared to what it is in the past. Yep. Tyrannofex, this is your big gun. This is your Night Killer. Rupture Cannon. Strength 18. AP -4, 2d6 damage. So I've never come across one of these on the tabletop. We don't have many Tyranids players where I'm at. But it's not a huge model, so it looks like it's going to be able to get some, you know, cover or whatnot. It's extremely tough. Maybe it's a mini knot. It's hard to tell how big this thing is. I mean, and it's going to be tough to kill. Look at this. Resilient Organism. Subtract 1 from the damage characteristic. It's going to be tough. There's no two ways about it. And if you get some assault in there, with some of this other stuff, man, yeah, that thing's going to rock your world. Tyrannocyte. This is a drop pod, right? Yep, 20 Tyranids infantry or 1 Tyranids monster. So maybe dropping one of these Tyrannofexes out of here is really good because you can keep it off the table, right? I mean, these are almost the same rules for a drop pod. And this model can be set up in the reinforcement step of your first, second, or third movement phase, regardless of any mission rules. So, yeah, let's put a Tyrannofex in one of those. Put a bunch of gaunts in one of those. I mean, these things are awesome. They carry 20 infantry, right? Hive Crone, this is your airship, your air flyer, drill cannon, tentaclids, and it can also hit pretty decent. Look at that thorax spur, extra attack. It gets bonus to hit up there, flying around. Harpy, Scything Wings, Stingers, Twin Heavy Venom. I think this is one everybody was running in the past, right? There's a lot going on here. Mortal Wounds, more Spore Mines. So yeah, this was another thing that was really cool. Almost thinking down, you know, I'm coming to like a coup de grace thing on this whole list. It's one of the very last units, but it sounds silly, but I really think Spore Mines aren't going to be that bad. And I'll tell you why here in a sec. Plus the Spore Assist. How many points is this guy going to be? They're immobile, right? So you set them up. It's a Tyranid fortification. And it sets up at the back, hive defense. And it can set up a mucilid spore, which those were the more powerful spores, right? So Psychophage. Not seeing much with this guy. I mean, some good shots, some decent hits. I don't know about them. Maybe I'm missing something. Help me out here on this one. Okay, yeah. Well, a friendly Tyranids unit within 6 inches of its model. Models in that unit have 6+. So this is, Tyranids are the army of these interconnected buffs. Giving everything stealth, benefit of cover, 6-up invul, 6-up feel no pain. I think the balance is going to be, how is this going to be integrated and woven together to be effective, right? Barbagons. So this is the last unit entry, and this is, they saved the best for last. It's absolutely insane what these guys are capable of. So 6 inches on the move, toughness 4, 24-inch range on this their gun, blast heavy. Right, strength 5, so it's easy to wound, but that kind of doesn't matter. And they got a strength 4 close combat weapon, which is better than some of the other stuff. Here, let me read this to you. It's a big deal. Disruption bombardment. In your shooting phase, after this unit has shot, if an enemy infantry unit was hit by one or more of those attacks made by this unit's biocannons until the end of your opponent's next turn, that enemy unit is disrupted. So, if one or more of those attacks made by this until the end of that turn, that enemy unit is disrupted. All you have to do is hit them. You don't have to wound them. They don't have to fail a save. You just hit them. Yep. The move, subtract 2 from its move characteristic, 2 from its advance, and 2 from its charge rolls. So remember, in 10th edition 40K, and I think as was last edition, any model, any individual model can shoot at any other individual model. So if you come across, and you can have 5 to 10. So if you come across orcs or a horde army, demons, a lot of these other stuff, you're going to, each one of these individual barbagants can shoot at a unit. So you have 10 models in this unit, that's 10 units you can shoot at. And all you have to do is hit with D6 attacks per guy, right? And so it's just going to be devastating what these guys are capable of. Yeah. So again, there's a lot to do in this. I really think, like if I were building a list, a strategy I would make is, first of all, barbagants, right? Backed up. I think it probably end up being a meme list. I don't know how it would be, but you're basically going to lock somebody in their deployment zone. Like a mirror match against barbagants is going to be tough, right? I would almost, depending on points, I want gene stealers. I don't know if they can be troops on this. I'm missing the battle line thing, right? And what is it? Gene stealers, the close combat gaunts, hormagaunts, right? That would be the troops I'd want. I kind of like some of I don't really like any of the named characters. Let's see, I was going to see if there is a battle line. Yeah, battle line, there it is. Let's look and see if there is a battle line for Gene Stealers. Where are they at? Anyway, Gene Stealers is troops, some HQs in there. They're going to be real effective. They're going to be really fast, really in your face. No, they're not. Gene Stealers aren't battle line, but even then, it's going to be this trade-off game of screens, these guys behind them, stuff moving up, stuff moving fast, right? These guys can scout. HQs, like I said, if it were me, I'd pick that Hive Tyrant, right? I would want this on, maybe take one of those Tyranno effects, right? With the big guns, put him in a pod, have him drop down. Yeah, these look really fun. I kind of want to start this army. But I do like this winged Hive Tyrant. That's my favorite character, right? And then, who's after this? A Brood Lord, right, with his hypnotic gaze. That'd be a fun one. Stormlord's real tempting, but he's probably going to be a lot of points. I don't know how well that's going to be. I don't really care for the Warriors. I've always felt they haven't done much. Yeah, we need points out to build this list out, right? There's a lot going on here. There is some really fun stuff. I think in this indexer they're going to be effective. I hope they do some sort of different things here and there for like the army rules and whatnot. Their army rules, they definitely don't have anything compared to Oath of Moment. These guys are going to be hard to battle shock rolling 3d6, and every Tyranids player who I've known who cares about anything is able to keep stuff in synapse range. It's never been an issue. The only encounter I remember is either killing the guys or back in 5th edition with Lash of Submission, moving the synapse guys back. But even then, what's the downside? It's less than a 50% chance that something's going to fail a battle shock, and then you have to trigger that, right? Either through hurting stuff or through some other ability. Again, I would take this monster vehicle thing, but it's going to be one of these two. I don't think the character thing is going to be that big of a deal. You know, having only 3 or 4 characters out there against a whole swath of an army is not going to be that effective. So yeah, let's get the points out here and we'll make a list. Thanks for listening, y'all. It's fun making these videos. Engage with me down in the comments here. Come in and check us out on Discord. I'll put a link in the description. What else? Gosh, this community is going to take off. I can just tell. We got Instagram. We're going to have a Patreon. We got some stuff we're going to sell on here. 10th edition 40K is going to be really big. There's a store in our town. I'm going to try and host some tournaments. When I say a store, a Warhammer store, not just a basic store, a bona fide Warhammer store. So yes, the future's bright with this channel, with 40K. We got a lot going on. Come be part of the community. Thanks, y'all.